Greetings, welcome. If you've got dirty floors, whether they be hardwood, carpet, tile, whatever, and no good system to clean them, check this out. Our dog's okay at it, but not the best. I'm going to be reviewing in this video a robot vacuum cleaner. I'll put a link in the description below. And by the way, this is a channel for do-it-yourself home projects, and I also do lots of home product reviews, saving you all time and money out there, making your place a better space. So this video starts now. We're going to check out this robot vacuum, which also has a mop feature. We're going to see how the vacuum works on long and short pile carpet, also a rug, how it performs on tile, the vacuum feature, and the mop feature, particularly on hardwood floors. This is one of the biggest attractive features of this particular vacuum, robot vacuum /mop, is that it can, you can put water in it and it can mop up floors as well. So we'll take a look at this and see kind of how it looks. Let's take a look at the box first, right kind of upon opening it for the first time. Everything seems to be really well wrapped and packaged, which is good. I don't see any scratches or dents or anything like that. So this is going to be, this first part of the video will be giving you like a visual tour of kind of what it looks like. You saw the vacuum itself had this really nice kind of futuristic black gray shine to it, which is cool. We've got some magnetic strips there, the little brushes. We've got power cable, power cord for the docking station. We've got an extra little mop pad. That was the big mop piece. A cleaning utensil there, the blue thing, an extra HEPA filter, and this is a remote controlled robot vacuum, and there's the base or the docking station itself, and some adhesive pads. So everything unpackaged and laid out kind of looks like this. This is what you can expect when you open it up for the first time. Now, assembly is pretty simple. You have to remove these little stickers, the packaging stickers, that probably allow things from or prevent things from popping out. There's the bumper on it. That's a really important feature. It will run into, you know, table legs and whatnot. So there's a little play there. And this is the dust trap. Really simple one-handed use design, can kind of slide right out. And the HEPA filter goes in right there for cleaning, replacement, etc. And I'm noticing that the doors open really well. There's not like a lot of play. Everything seems to be well made and not cheap. Now this is not an upper end robot vacuum. I think we ended up paying somewhere in the vicinity of $200 for this. There was a significant coupon that was activated. You can check that link below for the current pricing, because obviously that kind of stuff changes all the time. But that's kind of what we paid. So it's kind of a low to mid entry level vacuum. Now it does have a mop, and so you can change out the dust pan basically for the mop, where you put the mop water. But I'll show you that a little later. Let's continue with the visual tour. We'll kind of go around. You can see the sensors. Those do get a little dirty and they'll need to be dusted off every once in a while. Not a big deal. Flipping the unit over onto its back, it's got kind of a central wheel, and then your terminals for battery charging once it's connected to the dock, and then these little teeny places where you can insert the brushes. It's got two kind of 4x4 wheels on it. These are really heavy duty wheels that allow it to kind of go over tough transitions from tile to carpet or whatnot. And we'll look at that here pretty soon. We've got a cleaning tool that you can use to cut hair. It's got a little blade there. And just basically keep that brush, the main vacuum brush, nice and free of particles and hair and whatnot. So this is the little, there's two of those little brush things. They just pop on really simply. So assembly could not be easier. We'll plug in the docking station here. This is the home base for the robot vacuum. It'll need to obviously recharge. It's got a heavy duty battery built into it, equivalent to at least the size of most smartphone batteries for comparison. If you check out that link, it'll tell you the exact MAH. I think it is like 3,200 or something like that. Don't quote me on that though. But basically it can give you somewhere between 90 and 120 or 150 minutes of vacuuming and mopping power, depending on what settings you have it on. This is the remote control. Sleek, makes sense, very logical design. And this is kind of the unit all assembled and ready to go. Like I said, couldn't be easier. By the way, it's got a nice little, the docking home there has a place for you to store the remote control, which is a nice feature, because it's like, what do you do with this extra remote control? Does it join the TV remotes or not? So it's got its own little place. Now, one thing that does connect to your smartphone through Wi-Fi, which is an awesome feature, and I find the Wi-Fi, the smartphone controls for this a little bit easier, a little bit better than the remote. But that kind of depends, right? You can basically set the settings on your phone or the remote. Obviously, if you're in your bed and you want to activate it, then the smartphone would be presumably right next to you. So that would be kind of a more attractive option for you, as opposed to going downstairs or wherever your vacuum is and getting the remote control and then telling it what to do. You can also schedule. A huge attractive feature of this vacuum, you can schedule when you want the vacuum to run, and you can control the settings from your phone. So you could set it for the middle of the night. It's pretty quiet when it goes. If you've got a dog, you might annoy the dog. That's what we did. He was barking a couple of times. But you can control the sound settings by lowering the power settings, so to speak, on the vacuum. So I really appreciate that feature, and obviously you can customize your schedule as you need to. This particular one has an auto or random, an edge. It's got a variety of settings that you can experiment with to see which one works best for your particular setup. And I'll talk more about the options there soon. But let's go ahead and fire this thing up for you so you can get an idea of how it works. And of course, we'll be testing it out pretty soon too under some different scenarios. But here it is. This is the first time it's been booted up, and here it goes. We're off to the races. Now, if you've not owned one of these before, you might be shocked at the size of these things. It has quite a diameter to it, so be prepared for that. Note how it transitioned from hardwood to long pile carpet. It did not even stutter. It just went right over it. And this one does increase its vacuuming power automatically when it hits carpet, and then we'll go back down a little bit to a default suction power when it goes back to hardwood. And you can override that with the remote that you have or your smartphone controls. But this is our main floor carpet area. It's got high pile, obviously, and a lot of vacuums apparently can't handle that, and that was one of my big concerns. I wanted to make sure it could do high pile carpet, and it does. It doesn't even skip a beat, which is something I was really impressed with. This is it on hardwood, and you can see those little brushes out there. It's a circular design, but the brushes extend beyond the circular design of the unit itself. So you can see the bumper softly hit that edge there, no damage to the trim or anything like that. And those little sweeping brushes are able to kick out dirt underneath your trim pieces, which is awesome. There's no way I can vacuum that unless I get out the attachment for my regular vacuum, right, and go around kind of back-breaking angles trying to, vacuum up by hand those corner pieces. So this takes out a lot of the back strain. Now, I mentioned earlier the sensors get a little dusty. That does not affect operability at all that I could see. Obviously, if it's like caked on, it might, but you might want to wipe that down after every vacuum or two, or maybe once a week. It's just something that you should be aware of. And I don't think that's a big deal at all, right? It just kind of does that. And obviously it's kicking up a bunch of stuff, so it's going to attract some dust particles. And this is just some more angles of it kind of moving around the high pile carpet. If you've got kiddos, it's a lot of fun. If you've got 3 and under, be very careful that they don't step on it. Obviously, that could be trouble. But let's see how it does here with these table legs. We'll get kind of a closer view. And again, this is something that my normal vacuum cleaner can't do very well unless I get down on my hands and knees with the attachment. So I really appreciate that it can handle these edges really well. And there is an edge button. You can click auto, and it just kind of goes into this random pattern. It doesn't necessarily map out anything in your house. You're going to pay a premium for that if you're looking for a robot vacuum. But this random pattern will go over the same spot a couple of times, or maybe more than a couple of times. But that's not a bad thing, I don't think. I want it to go over. And the idea is that it can cover everything over a defined period of time, right? And do a good job vacuuming. And so this is something I would never be able to reach without bending down and kind of doing this. So I really appreciate that it's able to clean under furniture and around furniture on carpet. I mean, look at this thing go. And a big question you might be asking yourself now, does it pick up stuff? Is it cleaning? We'll take a look at that here pretty soon. I'll be dumping the dustbin for you so you can see kind of how much it collected after one testing vacuum. Not even a full floor, but just various testing scenarios. Now note here, it did get tripped up on this threshold between my door. You can see I've got a kind of a ramp-like trim piece, and it was able to launch up there, but couldn't quite get down. So make sure you close, doors, and you don't want it to be vacuuming up there anyway, probably. So I should have closed that door. So just a quick note there. The big transitions it might have trouble with, but check out this. It's cleaning the rug, and it looks like it's stuck, but indeed it is not. It's just gonna clean those edges and then continue along its merry way. So pretty powerful little thing. It's got those big industrial wheels I told you about. Now the lighter and the smaller the rug is that you're trying to vacuum, the more it will move, but it doesn't seem to be affected by a little rug, a little edge at all. It's handling that awesomely, I think. And there's a shot of the trail that it leaves, which is not unlike what my regular vacuum cleaner would leave. Now let's bring this back to the hardwood here, and we're going to test how it does, or what it seems to do when it gets close to stairs, if you've got stairs in your place. So let me you can manually steer this too and override the automatic function, and I'm just going to bring it over the edge there. And what it did is that it ran an error right there. It kind of tipped over and it turned red. It started beeping and then it stopped. So it appears like it doesn't go downstairs. Now I didn't try to hit the continue going forward button. So it might have the potential to fall. Of course, you'll want to keep it away from stairs. Now it does come with these little metallic strips that you saw rolled up earlier in the video, and you can lay those out before you vacuum, and what it does is it approaches it and it says, nope, I'm not going to go through there. There's a barrier. So the magnetic strip basically tells the unit not to cross that threshold. So you can wrap those up each time, put them away, and when it's time to vacuum, lay them out if you have an area where you don't want it to go. You just saw it take on a piece of paper on hardwood floor really well with one pass. And again, this little edge function on the remote, it's indicated by a little square. It's going to handle and really focus on the edges. You can see it kind of, staying on the edge and kind of going back and forth, backing up a little bit each time, rotating a little bit. And it will cover all of the corners and the edges of your particular room and do a pretty good job cleaning up. You saw, go back and see the very, very first part of the video. This is the corner that I shot, that filthy, dirty stuff. And this is, those little brushes come up and handle it pretty easily. So I've got some basic flour in our next little test here, and I'm just going to put it onto the hardwood floor. Now note the hardwood floor does have grooves, so I can't prevent things from falling into the grooves, right? And I don't necessarily expect it to be able to pull dirt or flour out of the little grooves itself. It would be nice if it could, but I don't know if that's a realistic expectation even for my other vacuum. But let's manually push it over that flour. And the flour, of course, represents dirt, or it could in fact be flour, right? If you're in the kitchen like we are now and you have some spilled ingredients. Now it's got a spot cleaning mode. If you press on the remote, it will actually concentrate its efforts in a circular pattern, check it out, around the area that you're telling it to focus on. And it kind of spirals out and then will spiral back in, which is pretty cool. Now let's take some flour and head on over to the tile. This is a flat surface. And then we're going to put a little bit on an entry-level rug here to see what does it do. Does it just smush it in, or is it actually, sucking this up? And how many passes does it take? So let me manually steer it on over, and we'll begin our tile and small rug test. And pretty easy to manipulate and to steer manually. You might need to figure out, okay, which way is left, which way is right? Is it my left or his left? Depending on where you're at. But here it is, spot cleaning mode on the tile. You can see it took up that flour pretty well. So with one or two passes, no problem. That's going to handle it without issue. Now let's move it on over here to the small rug, which is kind of like a low pile carpet. One pass, you can see it took off a little bit, took up a little bit. We'll do the spot cleaning there, and it'll focus right on that. You can see where it was, obviously. All right, and it looks like with about 3 or 4 passes there, it cleaned that up. So not the first pass, but that's why they have that spot cleaning feature, right? Some elements or dirt particles might require more focus than others. So hopefully that helps you there. Now let's bring this thing to another place in the home where there is some low pile, not the high pile carpet. Now the logical assumption is if it can handle high pile, it can handle low pile, right? But you can take a look and see kind of what it looks like and how it kind of travels over this. So not too much to say here. It seems to be handling it pretty well. Basically like somewhere between tile and that high pile, right? More shots for you. Seems to leave a nice trail indicating that it is disrupting the carpet fibers a little bit and lifting up dirt and sediment. All right, so with all of the test sequences run and a little bit of vacuuming done, let's check out. Now it had been about a week or I don't know, week and a half since we vacuumed, but this is what it looks like. It is appearing to take up quite a bit of kind of gross stuff. Sorry you had to see that, but hey, it's part of the test, right? Does it actually work and trap dirt? And the answer is yes, it does. I don't think you'll be disappointed. I particularly bought this one because it had higher suction power compared to the other ones. It's not the highest, like I said, but it's a solidly good one for sure. Now let's test out the mopping function. How well does this thing mop? And what are the downsides to it, if any? And how's the process work? So we're gonna fill it up about 3/4 of the way. Why not full? I don't know, just because I was a little lazy. But we'll go ahead and put that in. You take the dust trap out and put the mop water in. So you can see here we've got some footprints and some just general stains that are pretty light, I would say, in nature on some hardwood floor. So let's go ahead and turn it on. There's nothing special you need to do to activate the mop feature. Once you have that water in, it automatically activates using some type of smart technology that goes beyond my ability to understand. So here it is when we press the spot cleaning function and activate its kind of spiraling effect. Remember, this will tell it to focus on particular areas. And by the way, I just put water in here. It's conceivable that you can mix it with, a vinegar solution, water vinegar, or some type of, lightweight cleaner. You don't want anything, any cleaner with like an abrasive that could obviously scratch your hardwood floor. But it is conceivable that you put an actual cleaner in here. So you might want to research that a little bit if you don't prefer to use just plain water. Now, one of the drawbacks with the mop function is that it doesn't distinguish, and this is the vacuum in general, doesn't distinguish very well between carpet and hardwood or tile, right? So it will go over your carpet in the mop feature and it'll make your carpet wet. So you want to put those visual barriers or those little magnetic barriers that you just saw out and block off. It comes with about 12 feet or 15, something like that. I can't remember exactly, and I didn't measure exactly, but enough for me to block off my kind of living room carpet from my kitchen. So definitely use that so you don't get your carpets wet. It's not going to, harm it, I don't think. There's not like a ton of water coming out, and you can adjust the water settings a little bit as well. But I just don't want my carpet wet, right? So here's kind of what it looks like on the mop function. It's obviously doing a good job pushing out some water in an appropriate quantity, and it is cleaning these areas. Now, those little brushes that extend outward, they don't have mop capabilities, right? So some people might say, well, it doesn't mop the edges of my floor very well. Well, duh, it's a circular unit, right? How are you going to get that mop pad in the 90-degree corners? You can't, right? So that would be a false expectation, I think. If it were a real expectation, you should look at buying a square mop of some type. And I don't know if those are available, so good luck with that. But you can see here, generally speaking, it's mopping what I'm telling it to mop and getting as close as it can to the edges. Now here was those stains earlier, and I'm allowing, time for the water to obviously dry, but you can kind of see over the water, the dried areas, that there aren't, it handles those lightweight, those like light stain, or when you walk in with your shoes, for example, from outside, there's like a dust, right? It handles that really well, and any other type of kind of really lightweight stain. Now let's go to kind of a medium to heavy duty stain. You can see here I'm pointing to with my finger some type of sticky residue that has dropped onto our kitchen floor. There's a better angle. So we're going to be looking at those two spots right there. So take a visual mark, press pause or go back just a little bit so you can see where those are relative to some of the other scuffs in the video, or on my floor, some of those natural black vertical scuffs. And let's see, just so you can find the spots again or not, right? And we're going to mop over those with the circular, the spot focus feature on the remote. So there it is. And you might need to kind of adjust it manually, like tell it to go back here and then press that spot clean button again. So it's kind of missing it, but it's in a bit of a tough corner. So let me manually steer it a little bit more. There we go. We're almost there. There's that spot right there in the middle. You can see I want it to go over that. All right, so manual feature there. And I'm just going to let this thing kind of do its work in this area. And I'm not going to cut this video for you. I want you to see kind of how it performs in real time, right? So it looks like a couple of passes so far over that spot and that top spot as well. All right, so it went over it a couple of times, as you saw, and this is it when it's dried or almost dry. You can see a little bit of water there, and there's that scuff mark in the middle. And where did that spot go? Right next to it. So if you can't find it, I think that's a good thing. With a couple of passes, it was able to handle those spots. And just kind of doing what I just did, it used a little bit of water, so it could easily handle a large or small room on a complete fill up. Now they do say don't put it back into the home with water in it, so switch it out. Obviously electrical terminals and water should not mix, which makes sense. I'm not going to fault this vacuum for that. But something kind of annoying that you have to do is take that out and switch it out before you bring it back into the home. This is it, the unit going back into the home. It does recommend 3 feet on each side and up to 5 or 6 feet in front of it. Well, we certainly don't have that. You can see those bar stools right there. And it's still able to find its way back. Here's another look at the vacuum with the base changed. Note the position, definitely not 3 feet to its left. 3 feet to the right pretty easily. And there's a big table right in front of it. And so it is still nonetheless able to walk itself back, limp back, right? It's not limping. I think when it reaches a certain power point, it automatically comes back, or when you tell it to come back. So in a very slow, power conserving way is the idea. And it starts to recharge. And that is basically it. Overall, a highly recommended entry-level robot vacuum with mop capabilities. It's not an $800 unit, so it's not going to have the mapping feature that you might want, but the random pattern creates an immaculately clean living area. Hopefully this video has been helpful. Don't forget to subscribe if you want more videos like this. Thanks.